and I landed on their roof.
Yeah.
Their roof was an FAA approved landing pad, but the neighbors flipped out, like lost their minds, and they went into the mayor like that day and started crying in front of the mayor that I had given them PTSD.
What?
And all the local news got it, and it went across every 5 o'clock news in the whole nation.
All right, guys, got him back on. Keaton the Muscle. Thanks for coming, man.
Absolutely, my man. Anything for you?
Yes, sir. You take the jet out here?
We did. We took the jet. We landed about an hour ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. Man, you took the chopper to my event. That was badass.
I did. That was fun, man. That was really cool. They actually, I don't think they were really happy that we landed on the golf course, but that was all we could do. So
you got a phone call the next day?
I did get a phone call. Anytime I land the chopper anywhere, I get a phone call.
Damn. Is it a fine or what is it?
No, there's actually no issue with it. As long as because I don't just fly anywhere and land, like you have to have permission. But what people don't know about helicopters is as long as you have permission from the landlord to land there, you can land anywhere. I had a really viral news flash go across the entire nation. I landed at somebody's house and I landed on their roof.
Yeah.
Their roof was an FAA approved landing pad, but the neighbors flipped out, like lost their minds, and they went into the mayor like that day and started crying in front of the mayor that I had given them PTSD.
What?
And all the local news got it, and it went across every 5 o'clock news in the whole nation.
Holy crap.
For 2 weeks, I was getting text messages from people in New York, Florida, Texas. They're like, dude, you're on my 5 o'clock news. You landed at a house, and it was crazy. But again, it was all approved, so there was nothing they could do.
That's insane. So do your neighbors hate you?
No, you know what? I think my immediate neighbors like me. I've had great conversations with all of them. I don't ever want to be the guy that's like, you, like you gotta, this is what I do. So I've gone to all my neighbors. I'm like, if there's anything that I can do, like if you ever need some help, you want to fly, your kids want to fly, like whatever you need. I've even gone to my mayor and I'm like, dude, anything you need. Anything. And so actually a month ago, my mayor was like, hey man, there's a lady who's lived here her entire life. She's 96 years old. And she wants as a dying wish to go up in a helicopter and see the city. And I was like, done, bring her up. So we're going to schedule that.
Dude, that's badass.
I'm doing my best to just be the best I can. I live my life. I don't give a what people think, but I don't want to impose on other people. I know I'm going to have haters, but I'm trying my best to.
Yeah, because you got the biggest house on the block.
I do, yeah.
Community is important, though.
Absolutely, and I want people to know that I support the community. I support the men in blue, the first responders. I'm actually an honorary colonel with the sheriff's department, so of course, anytime they need anything, they can call us, like search and rescue. And our city doesn't have a helicopter, so they call me, and I'm up and I'm helping.
They don't have a heli?
No, most cities don't. Until you get into big cities, most cities don't have a budget for something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Someone's vehicle caught on fire by your house the other day. I saw that.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. I put the post up, and of course it went viral, and everybody thought that it was me that did it for viral. I'm like, dude, my life is crazy enough. I don't have to make anything up. But I walk outside, and I hear this explosion in my backyard. And I own up the mountain, and I see 30-foot flames, and the first thing I think is, my house is going to catch on fire. So I run up to the top of the mountain. It's a young kid with his girlfriend. I think they had left the emergency brake on, and the brakes lit on fire. So it lit on fire, and when you light something like that on fire, it goes up. Well, they were like a quarter of a mile down the way, and they're like, stay away, the fire department's coming. I'm like, no, because this is going to catch my house on fire. So I sat there for 20 minutes digging all around so that it couldn't catch the weeds on fire, which ultimately would come down to my house. And by the time the fire department got there, 30 minutes later, they were like, hey man, thanks so much for putting the fire out. We would have had an entire mountainside. I mean, dude, the whole state of Utah would have been on fire.
Are you serious?
100%.
Holy crap.
The way that the mountain is set up with the weeds and everything's dead, it's 100 degrees outside, right? If I wouldn't have stopped it, it would have been $1 billion fight, 100%. I had bless his heart, I had the fire chief come up to my house the next day to save face. He was like, hey man, thanks so much. Like, you literally saved a huge catastrophe. And I was like, listen, I wasn't trying to be a hero. I just didn't want my house on fire. He was like, well, thank you, So it was a little bit crazy.
Dude, that's nuts. Congrats on another Limitless Arena event. That was
Thank
fun,
you.
dude. You
Thank
working on
you.
the next one?
I am, man. We're planning on. I'm planning on May. I'm in talks right now with Tony Robbins, Ed Milet, Andy Frisella, and then probably myself and one other main speaker. I'm not going to do 20 or 30 speakers this time. I'm going to try to do just powerhouses. And I've got my plan is to do the Jazz Center, which is a little bit bigger, where the Jazz play. There's about 15,000 seats there, so my plan is to fill that arena with 15,000 seats.
Nice.
It's gonna be a little bit wild.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, that last one had a ton of speakers.
It was
holy
awesome.
crap,
It was so cool.
dude. And your events have such good access.
Thank you, man.
I don't see that at other events.
You know, the thing is that I see a lot of people, and I'm not here to badmouth anybody doing events. I see a lot of people doing events, and I realize that their events are bring people out and then pitch them something, right? And I've gotten to a place in my life where if I can't add value to people, I don't want to do it. And I've heard from everybody, they're like, dude, you got to do these events, and then you have to have this huge thing to pitch, this huge, whatever. And I've told everybody no. And you've been to both of them now, the two that I've done. I'm not on stage pitching anything because I want the event itself to be the value, right? I want people to leave my event and go, that was the pivoting moment in my life where I learned what I needed to learn. I felt what I needed to felt. I was educated the way I needed to be educated to turn around and change my life and put it in the direction that I want. So that's what my events are going to be for the rest of my life, man. If I don't make any money, and to be very transparent, I haven't made any money on the events, but I see people walk away and I see lives get changed. And I'm like, that's why I'm doing it.
Yeah, dude, that VIP party was
Awesome.
the best VIP party I've ever been to. By
Thank
far.
you.
I mean,
Thank
Donald Trump Jr. was walking around.
Yeah, we had Donald Trump Jr. filming, going live. We had Ludacris on my balcony performing. I had all the speakers there. I had very well-to-do people there. A lot of people ask, like, why do you charge so much for the VIP? And I understand that everybody wants access to it, but the reality is the buy-in is the caliber of person that you are, and I only want the highest caliber of people networking. And I understand that's a certain level, but when I raise that price, it raises the caliber of people so that when people come, they're networking with savages.
Right.
And that's what I want. And that's why the events are so cool.
Yeah, no, it was worth 10 grand. And you're also paying these guys to be there. Like,
I am.
You got to recoup your costs. So,
Yeah.
dude, that's awesome. Can't wait till the next one.
Absolutely.
What else are you working on?
You know, I've really been focusing on my message to the world and what I want to share with people. And I've spent a lot of time with Tony Robbins, with one of my really close friends, Ed Milet, and it's been very apparent that in the space that I'm in, which is mentoring and coaching and lifestyle and finance, all of those things, there's a lot of things that are missing. There's a lot of coaches, a lot of gurus. And again, I'm not here to talk bad about anybody. There's a lot of in my industry.
Yeah.
But what I've focused on and what I've been working on over the last little while is what is the message in which I want to give to a human being? If I had a megaphone, if I had this microphone and I knew that 9 billion people were listening, what is it that I want them to hear for 5 minutes from me? And really honing in that message and then creating Limitless Society and my whole program around I want to bring the masses in and I want to tell them who they are and who they can become. And I want to drive it so deep that I have such an impact in this world that I change lives and they change lives and they change lives. And it's the biggest butterfly effect, if you will, in getting people to realize who they are, what they can accomplish, what their limits are, which I don't think there are any limits.
Right.
So what I've actually been doing, and this will be the first time I've ever really announced it because we haven't yet, but I'm going to be really working hard to work with South America, with Spanish speaking. I have a lot of people from Mexico that work for me, and I love their work ethic. But a lot of them do the same thing. They come to America, they work their ass off, and then they send money back to their family in Mexico, and they never truly realize that the efforts they're putting in could be so much better used and they could make so much more money to take care of their family and do all the things they want to do. We all know what the American dream is, and that's why so many people come to America.
Yeah.
But I've realized, even in my own atmosphere, like there's so many more people that I need to be helping. And I think for me, I want to start focusing on the Spanish-speaking community. So over the next probably 90 days, I'm going to be launching into Mexico, Brazil, I mean, all of South America, and launching Limitless as a Spanish only program where I can show these people, like, dude, I got 20 people who work for me that are from Mexico or from South America, and they are seeing phenomenal, because I don't have people work for me where I'm just like, hey, let me pay you. Let me show you how to get out of life what you want. My personal assistant, he's from Mexico. I think this month he made $120,000.
What?
He owns his own construction company, which he doesn't work in, he works on. And I've watched his life change as he's worked with me because I've taught him all the stuff that I teach people. And so we sat down about 3 months ago, and he very emotionally was like, Keaton, we have to take this to my people. Like, we have to get this to the people who are coming here that are working their asses off their entire life and have nothing to show for it because they're living, $5,000 paychecks, sending it back to Mexico, sending it to their family in South America. I want to open up Limitless Society to Spanish-speaking people because that's who needs it right now.
Wow.
So anyway, so that's kind of what I've been working on. We're going to be launching Limitless Society in Spanish and going to those people and being like, listen, the American dream is not to come to America and work for some dude and make $5,000 a month. The American dream is to build in you the ability to grow yourself, your family, your finances, and then change your generations, right? If you could make $50,000 a month by building a business here in America, what will that do for your family, for your children, for your grandchildren, for your great-grandchildren? So that's kind of what I've been focusing on and working on. Obviously, Limitless Society is growing like crazy. We have thousands and thousands of members now, but as of late, my focus has been who could I really help next? And that's kind of where we're going to be headed.
That's huge. You're going to have to learn Spanish, man.
I know, dude. And I understand it a little bit. And luckily, some of my very closest friends speak Spanish. So I'm like, hey, I got to recruit you, man. I need you to take the message that I have and I need you to put it into Spanish. What's so cool about my assistant, he's with me all the time. And he speaks Spanish. And he's literally mentored with me for the last year. And I'm like, guess what, bro? That's you. Like, you have to take what you've learned from me and I'll continue to pour into you, but then you have to pour it into them. And so he's going to be kind of leading that.
Yeah, that's badass, dude. You could be the face of personal development for Mexico.
Exactly, dude.
I don't see any coaches doing it.
No, there's nobody doing it. And what's so cool about that community and that culture is, you see MLM companies all the time. As soon as they go into, South America, they blow up. And it's because the people see like, oh, this company can make me money. And I want my friends to make money. And I want my family to make money. And so it blows up like crazy. And I'm hoping to do the same thing where it's like, dude, let me just teach you mindset, principles, and habits that can get you from making $5,000 a month for the rest of your life to making $50,000 to $100,000 to $200,000 a month. Live the American dream, and then help your family do the same thing. And again, it's been one of those things that I'm like, dude, this could really, really change people. And that's my whole purpose now is I want to have an impact on lives that is so pivoting that it changes generation after generation after generation, right? And I'm seeing it now in Limitless Society. I see thousands of people's lives changing, and I'm like, dude, how do I make my reach bigger and bigger and bigger? And so that's kind of the plan.
Are your teachings applicable to any industry? Like
any industry?
Your students are all over?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, I have three programs, but ultimately my Limitless Society is a group program. They get on a call with me twice a week. We have a big group call. I teach principles, mindsets, habits, and then my other program is I do one-on-one mentoring, and that's a much higher caliber. That's for people who are in a business or in a very high-paying place, and they want to 10x every aspect of their life, right? Now, to say that there's a demographic for that, everybody. Like, there's not a person on this earth that shouldn't 10x every aspect of their life, right? Their business, their family, their marriage, their relationship with God, their physical, everything.
Yeah.
So I had somebody ask me the other day, they're like, well, who's your demographic? And I'm like, it's every human being on this planet. Because every human being should become a better version of themselves. I don't care if you're in Germany, I don't care if you're in Australia, I don't care where you're at. No matter where you're at, if I can get you to become a better version of yourself, what could you really do? And dude, to take you, for example, you've been so successful in this space. You're killing it in the podcast space. But imagine if you weren't as good with communication, if you weren't as good with networking, if you weren't as good with even having a conversation, no one would listen to your shit.
Right.
And the better you became at that, the better this podcast gets. And the more money you make and the better relationships you make. Everything is applicable. It doesn't matter where you're at. Dude, you're a janitor? Okay, great. Let me make you better and watch where you can go. So there's no like single demographic. It's every human being on this planet. And that's why I've been focusing on that.
I love it. Yeah. Personal development is huge, dude. I've seen it increase my revenue, my income, my profit, everything.
The number one thing I tell people now is like, dude, if you want to, if all we're talking about is money, which it isn't what I always talk about, but if all you're talking about is money, you will never succeed financially more than you succeed in personal development. And the reason is because all of us humans have opportunities that happen every day, all day. But if you have not qualified yourself through personal development to seize that opportunity, it goes by the wayside. I meet people all the time, and I think to myself, man, if that was a better human being, I would want to do more with that human. But because they haven't developed the skills themselves, their mindset, it's not somebody I want to spend any more time with, right? But if they were, well, dude, I would love to do business with you. I would love to throw opportunities your way. And it's the same thing even you. You asked me to come on your podcast. I have 20 people a week that ask me to come on their podcast. And the first thing I do is have a conversation with them. And I'm like, this is not a conversation I want to have because I can tell they're not even very good at asking questions, communicating, listening, all of those things. The reason Joe Rogan's so big is because he's so good at what he does because he has qualified himself to do it, right? I mean, the reason we have a great relationship is because you have qualified yourself through developing yourself to become the human being that you are. For us to have a relationship, for us to do this podcast, for people to listen to you on your show, that's a huge deal, man. If you were just some bag and you hadn't developed yourself, this wouldn't be happening. You wouldn't be as big as you are.
No, 100%. Because I tried starting a show 5 years ago and it flopped because I wasn't there yet.
Exactly. And that's the biggest message I tell people. Everybody's like, well, I just wish I had the opportunity. Bro, you have the opportunity. You just are not ready for the opportunity because you think that the opportunity is the success, and it's not. It's you. And that's why I tell people, dude, dump money into personal development. Dump money into becoming more powerful. Dump money into becoming a better human being because that human being will seize the opportunity that comes by every single day. And then the ones that just see it go by and by are the mediocre ones who I don't believe in personal development. I don't believe in investing in myself. I don't believe in growth. That's fine. Stay where you're at. But those who do will see the success that they want. Dude, like you said, 5 years ago, you were not the human you are today.
Yeah.
And you've gotten exponentially better today than you were 5 years ago. And dude, you're going to get exponentially better in the next 5 years. Imagine where you'll be. You'll have your own TV show. You'll have everything you've ever wanted because you qualified yourself to become a better interviewer, a better communicator, a better networker. And you'll have everything you've ever wanted because of you, not because of opportunity.
Absolutely. When you're choosing business partners, if they neglect their physical health, is that someone you would work with?
No. I have I feel like I have a small standard for business partners now. I focus on 5 pillars. Number 1 is physical health. Number 2 is mental health. Number 3 is emotional health. Number 4 is spiritual health. And number 5 is financial health. If I meet a human that's phenomenal in one of those, it doesn't impress me. I don't care how rich you are if you're a bag. I don't care. But if you have a beautiful marriage and you have beautiful children that you're a great parent to and you have a great relationship with God and you're in good shape and you have a lot of money, now I'm like, dude, that's the kind of person I want around me. I also don't think that there's this, and I know it's cliche, I'm going to say it anyways, but how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're horrible in your marriage, I already know you're going to be a bad partner. If you cheat on your wife, I already know you're going to cheat on me as a partner. If you don't take care of your health, you don't care about yourself, you're not going to care about me. And it's the same thing across the board. So again, when I look at partnerships in business, when I look at friendships, I go, is that person doing what ultimately would serve them and me in our relationship to get better and get better and get better? You know, you hear the whole, you're the sum total of the 5 people you hang out with.
Yeah.
Well, if I hang out with 5 obese people, I'm going to be a 6th. If I hang out with 5 broke people, I'm going to be the 6th. If I hang out with in shape, well-to-do, good relationships with beautiful marriages who make a ton of money, I'm going to be the 6th.
Absolutely.
And so I live and die by that. I have really, really hard boundaries with people. And I know sometimes people take it as I'm an and that's fine. But if it doesn't serve us, then I don't want to have us. that makes sense.
Yeah, powerful. I want to talk about the people in your circle and what you've learned from them. So you mentioned Ed Milet earlier.
Yeah.
How long have you known him?
You know, I've been really good friends with Ed for about 4 years. In fact, you were there for the VIP party. Yep. It was his birthday. And literally I texted him. I was like, hey, man, I want you to come speak. And he was like, that's my birthday, but there's no one else I would do this for but you. And I was like, okay. And I'm going to do something really, really special. And so I bought him a Polaris UTV, and I had it helicoptered in and land at the VIP party for him. It was really, really cool. But it's dope, man. You look up to these people your whole life, right? And then all of a sudden, through personal development, through success, through just becoming better, all of a sudden you don't see them on that different playing level. You're on the same playing level with them. And I've become very good friends with Ed. And man, he's a phenomenal human being, and I get to spend a lot of time with him. He asked me to come out to his island, spend time with him and his wife. It's so crazy that 5 years ago, he was somebody I was looking up to, and now it's somebody who I look to as a friend who has influence on me because I get to spend time with him. And I'll tell you, man, if there's anything that people take, at least from this podcast, it would be you should take inventory of the people that you spend time with. Because there's no such thing as buoyancy in life. There isn't. You're either going down or you're going up. And you have to take inventory of the people you surround yourself with and say, are they taking me down or are they taking me up? And I am obsessed with progression, no matter what it is, because I'm so inadequate in everything in my life that as long as I focus on progression, I'll continue to get better and get better and get better. And that's all I want. So again, I got to go all the way back to, who are you spending time with? And do they make you better? Do they inspire you? Do they motivate you? Do they edify you? And if they do, then spend as much time as you can with them and give them as much value as you possibly can so that they see you as a peer rather than just somebody who's around. And that's how I've created essentially everything that I've created is by doing that, living by that, and creating those relationships every year. It just gets better and better.
I love it, man. Yeah, now you're close with Trump Jr. Don. I'd love to hear what you learned from him. I mean, he was talking to everyone at your event.
Dude, I got to tell you, so I'm very studious. And I'll even tell you about yourself. I'm studious about people that want to meet me or spend time with me, or even people that I want to spend time with. I don't go to events and listen to people on stage because I don't care about your message on stage. I don't really look at social media and look at people's lives through social media. In fact, I only follow maybe 100, 200 people on social media, which I very rarely even look at. I don't care what you're preaching from your platform. I want to know how you live your life, right? And I even remember the first time that I met you, how respectful you were, how well-to-do you were, how well communicative you were, everything you did, how you carried yourself, how you introduced yourself, how you treated people. And dude, you're a celebrity. You can be you can be rude to people, but you weren't. And when I spent time with Donald Trump Jr., I totally planned on the billionaire's son being the billionaire's son, right? And I got to tell you a cool story. I called him and I said, hey, man, I want you to speak on my stage. And truthfully, I want you, and one day I want your father on my stage. And hopefully, again, I'm planning on maybe having him in May. We're talking with his team. And he was like, yeah, for sure, man. This is my cost. This is my price, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, when he showed up on a private jet, I was like, okay, we got to red carpet. We got to do the whole thing. I really like to give people great experience when they come to, whatever it is for me. And no, dude. I text him and I said, hey, man, when are you landing? I've got a whole team ready. I've got security. He was like, are you kidding? And I was like, no. He's like, I'm just going to take an Uber to your house. I was like, okay, do you want me to get the Uber? Do you want an XL? He's like, no, man, this guy showed up in a Toyota Corolla. We're headed up to your house. And I was like, okay. He came up to my house and we shook hands. We talked for a while. And dude, out of the gates, he was like, I want to tell you, thank you so much for this opportunity. I don't get to do stuff like this very often. Everybody wants me to go speak on politics or go to a convention, whatever. He's like, what do you want me to speak on? And I said, dude, I want you to speak from your heart. And he was like, what? I'm like, I don't care what you talk about on stage. I want you to share from your heart whatever message you want to give to the world. And he was blown away. And then we started to talk and we had this and he was like, hey man, I've seen all your stuff and I love your gun safe. Can I come see your gun safe? I was like, yeah, absolutely, dude. We started talking about hunting and he was like, at the end of the night, he came back to me and he said, I don't get to spend time with people like you. And he's like, and all of your friends, all of you guys are really close. And there's loyalty here that I don't see in my circle, because we're in this circle of billionaires where it's cutthroat. Nobody's really down. Nobody's loyal to anybody. And he was like, I just want to spend more time with you. And
wow.
dude, we've text all the time now. We talk all the time. And it's like, man, this is a really, really good dude that has a good heart, that has no reason to even talk to me or anybody here at this party at my VIP. Dude, he was phenomenal with people, shaking hands, respectful. He was just a phenomenal human being. And again, like, that's the kind of stuff that I see when I look at a relationship. Like, I look at, how do you treat your wife? How do you treat the waitress? How did you treat the Uber driver, right? Of course you're going to treat me good because I'm putting on this huge event and I'm somewhat of a celebrity. Of course you're going to treat me good. How do you treat everybody else? And I'm, like I said, I'm studious with that. I watch your moves, everything you do, and then I say, that's either somebody I want to spend time with, or, you know what, dude, I don't give a what they put out. I don't like who that human being is, and I don't want to have anything to do with them, which, sadly enough, I've done a lot at my events. I bring these speakers out, and I'm like, man, I really thought you were a great human being, but I just watched how you treated my assistant. I watched how you treated the backstage people. I watched how, when you were mad, what you said and how you said it, and I'm like, I don't want that. I don't care if you have 10 billion followers. I don't want that around me. And so for me, again, when I surround myself and I pick the people that I want to spend time with, I watch everything, and I'm very studious with how you carry yourself. It's one thing to teach, and it's another thing to live. And when you live, you're really teaching through your actions. Right. And I watch your actions. I don't give a what you say. And the more people that would do that, the more people would find the true people on this planet that they should be spending time with. Forget what people say. Don't take what people say for anything. Watch what they do. Watch how they treat people. Watch how they interact with people. Watch how respectful they are. And then make a decision if that's a human being you want around you.
Absolutely. Did you get a lot of heat for having him on?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got a lot of heat. I got a lot of heat for him, for my really good friend, Andy Elliott. I got a lot of heat for a lot of people, which, again, that doesn't matter to me. I don't give two about what people think, not even in the slightest. Whether it's good or bad, it affects me zero. Doesn't matter.
Dude, he talked to everyone. He was awesome.
He was great. And I was kind of concerned. I'm like, is he only one-dimensional? Like, is he going to get up about being Republican? And, dude, he gave a great speech.
It was awesome. Yeah. I remember when Justin Waller came on the show, who's a mutual friend of ours. He shook everyone's hand as soon as he walked in. No guest has ever done that before.
Absolutely.
Producer, assistant,
Absolutely.
Random girl sitting there.
Yep.
Yeah, he's one of the most respectful men I've ever met.
Justin's become one of my best friends. In fact, I was on a call with him this morning. We're building the company that we'll be launching here in the next month. But, man, he has such a beautiful heart. And I'll tell you, man, what he puts out online is not who he is. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. He's very, like, well-to-do, gentleman, suit, cigar, uppity, all of those things. Man, when you meet that dude, he has such a beautiful heart. Like, him and his wife, they're beautiful, beautiful people. And, man, we hit it off because I was like, you're my kind of people. No matter how big you get, no matter how much you do, you will always remember where you came from, and how you treat people, you realize, is the most important thing. And it's the same thing, dude. Like, my kids call him uncle. Like, he's stayed at my house for weeks on end. His wife has stayed at my house. It's so cool to see people that you would otherwise think, oh, he's probably an ass. He's probably full of himself. He's probably filled with pride. But, man, he's such a good dude that, again, when we met, I was like, you're my people.
Absolutely. I noticed how calculated you are with your circle, man.
Always. I'm very, very calculated because I know how sacred it is to my own personal progression. I also don't take lightly who I bring into my circle because they become very quickly my family. I don't have family, friends, and acquaintances. I have family and acquaintances.
Wow.
You're either in my family or you're just an acquaintance that I know of. And I even have a tattoo, family above everything. And that's the way I treat all of my relationships. I had a conversation with Ed just a few days ago. He messaged me, and he was just, like, really emotional. And he was driving the UTV on his island, and he was with his son. And he said, you know what I'm so grateful for is you gave me a present I never would have got for myself, and it's something that serves me in my family.
Wow.
And he was like, dude, it means the world to me that you thought through what would be most important. I could have bought him a nice watch. I could have bought him a Lamborghini, anything that would have served him. I didn't. I bought him something that would serve him and his family, right? And again, because to me, he's family, his family's my family, like, across the board. When you come into my circle, you get a level of respect and loyalty from me that cannot be matched, period. And those people who are in my circle will tell you that. Same thing with Justin. Like, Justin and I have had very deep conversations like, dude, you are 100% my family, and I want you to know that. And what's really cool, people look at me and even Justin, and they're like, these big, rough dudes. Dude, we say I love you every time we talk because that's how we do things. Everything is based around loyalty and respect. And again, I don't have friends. I have family and acquaintances, and that's how I live my life. So that circle of my family is really, really important. The other thing that's really important to me, I have 5 daughters.
Wow.
Lots of kids. But it's really important to me that the influence that I bring around my children is the influence that I want for my children. And so when I bring you into my circle and I'm studious about everything you do, the first thing I ask is that the kind of influence that I want my daughters to see in a man, a woman, a friend, a parent? And if it's not, I don't care how cool you are, how big you are, I don't care.
Wow.
Because that becomes an influence in my family. And if you become part of my family, I need to be very sacred with that, And so that's why for me, my circle is so important.
Yeah, that's massive. Do you send your daughters to public school?
Kind of. Yes and no. Where we live is a really affluent area. And they do go to a public school, but I think if most people saw it, they would be like, that's a private school. Like, it's a very, very well-to-do school. And I had this conversation with Andy Elliott recently, actually. Andy, he homeschools his kids. He was like, I don't want my kids around crazy. I don't want them around bad influences. I don't want them, and he was like, you need to pull your kids out and you need to homeschool them. And I said, can I give you a different point of view? What if you taught your children to be leaders even when they're in a place that you don't like the influence? And what if your children could be the influence to other children to become better? What if the children that your children spend time with don't have that influence? They don't have the home life and the parents like you. Don't you think that in your quest to impact more people, you want your own children, through the principles that you've taught them, to impact other children? And he was like, I guess that's a different thing. I said, I'll tell you right now, I'm sacrificing my children to the world. And what that means is I'm not going to be an umbrella parent and manage and micromanage everything. I'm going to teach you correct principles and then allow you to govern yourself to build whatever it is you want to build in this life. I'm preparing my children so that when I die, whether it's tomorrow or 10 years or 50 years down the road, that you don't need me. And the only way for me to do that is by saying, you know what, it's hard for me to put you in bad positions, but I need to teach you how to rise above those and be able to influence those people and those circumstances and have an impact on their lives. And then I told Andy that, and he was like, you know what, dude, that's a different way to look at it.
That's valid.
But that's what I want. I want my 5 daughters to be so powerful that I could put them anywhere at any place and they would be able to not only handle themselves, but lead all the people in which they are around so that they can give them those same beautiful principles and habits and mindsets that I've taught them to other people.
Yep.
If I truly feel like my purpose in this world is to impact people, then I need to try to do that the quickest and fastest way possible. And that's teaching my children, teaching my family, teaching all the people in my influence to go out and do the same thing. I don't want to shun, I don't want to keep you from the world. I want you to change the world. And I can't do that by saying, oh, well, we got to homeschool you. Well, man, you're taking your light and you're putting it in a bushel.
Wow.
Take it and put it into the world.
Yeah, I never saw that point of view, but that makes a lot of sense, dude.
Dude, and it's hard. Like some people, I mean, especially for a dad of 5 daughters, I'm like, I got to protect them. I got to take care of them. I got to do all these things. But the truth is, like, I want them to be able to do that themselves. And I must teach them and give them the tools and the power to do it. I'm not always going to be there. Dad's not always going to be there. So I should empower you to be able to do it for yourself. I think the greatest thing in the whole world is to see my children succeed more than I ever succeeded.
Wow.
To be a better leader than I was ever a leader. To be a better human than I was ever that human. My greatest blessing would to see my 12-year-old take lead in her school and pick up whatever she needs to pick up to become, so that other people around her go, my life was changed because of her. My home life sucked. My parents sucked. My everything at home sucked. But because she was there in my school, she taught me what no one else could teach me, and it changed my life.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Did you want a son?
I'm going to have a son.
Oh, let's go. Number 6.
Yeah, we're going to keep going. I know
it.
my wife's backstage listening to this, but yeah, we're going to keep going until we have a son. I got to have a son. So yeah, we're just going to keep going and keep going. I spent some time with Tony Robbins. I actually helicoptered him from his private jet to his house. And I didn't know this, but I was bringing him and his wife in, and he handed me a car seat. And I was like, what is this? He's like, oh, I have a 2-year-old. I'm like, you're 62 years old. He said, yeah, I have a 2-year-old. And then I was like, well, why can't I keep having kids? Like, dude, I love my children. They're the greatest blessing and the greatest teachers in the world. Tony Robbins can have kids at 62. I can keep going until I have a son, so I'm going to keep going. I got to have a son.
Shout out to Tony. I didn't know that.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow. He's like 6'8", right?
Yeah, he's a big dude.
That kid's going to be a baller.
Yeah, he's a big dude. But yeah, I was like, oh, I guess I don't need to stop then. We'll just keep going.
Yeah, and kids are a great way to see the parenting, how good they are as parents.
Absolutely.
And that's why when you look at Trump and Biden, I mean, just massive difference there.
It's a huge difference, man. And I will also say this, because I do think this is important to say. Your children are not a direct reflection of you. You know, your children will make bad decisions, and it's not always a reflection of you. I firmly believe that God is our Father. Well, that means that everybody's his children. Do we look at God based on his children? Not always, and we shouldn't, because we still are all of our own individual person. And listen, I don't know how my children will end up. I have no idea. Maybe I will have a child that will struggle with addiction or will be just a bad kid. I would hope that people don't look at me and go, oh, well, because of Keaton, you know, that's why that kid's bad. But there is a sense of underline when you can look at them and go, what foundation were you given from your parents? And again, I hope my kids are successful.
Yeah.
That, oh, well, they learned that because Keaton was their dad, right? So there is kind of a medium of like, kids are definitely a reflection of you, but they're not always a reflection of how good you were as a parent. I know a lot of great parents who have really bad kids.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And they're not a direct reflection of them, because sometimes that's the craziest thing about, like, everybody's their own individual. Sometimes you got crazy kids, man. You just do.
I've seen it actually with wealthy, parents. Like
Yes.
a lot of the kids will struggle, so there must be some correlation there.
Absolutely. You know, I've had this conversation with my wife a lot. I want to give my kids everything, but I also want to fabricate hard. I want to fabricate discomfort. The kids that you're referring to that we both know is they were raised by rich parents. They were given everything. They never got to work for anything. And then they never had like anything other than a safety net. So nothing was ever a big deal, right? We're seeing in the world now when everything is easy, we fabricate hard. We do stupid shit. We make up stupid shit. We make stupid decisions. But if you can take, again, like even myself, you could take somebody who has money and go, I want to give my kids good stuff, but I'm not going to cripple them. I'm going to sacrifice them to the world, which means I am going to fabricate hard. I've told all my daughters, I'm not paying for college. I'm not paying for after you're 18. Like, if that's what you want, I love it, but you will learn to go get it. And if you want it, you'll learn that you can have anything that you want. It's not because dad's rich. And by the way, and Shaquille O'Neal says this all the time, you're not rich. Dad's rich. So you will have to build whatever you need to build to have the life that you want. And guess what? I'm not going to do that for you. I'm simply going to give you the tools, the mindset, the habits, the principles, and I hope you do really well.
Make them earn it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love the way PBD does it with his kids.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I spoke with him. It's funny. I spoke with him 2 weeks ago down at Andy Elliott's event, and he was in the middle of his speech. So funny. And I was sitting next to one of his sons, and his son started like slouching in the chair and kind of like sliding off. He's a young kid sliding off. Middle of his speech, he stops and goes, "Hey, sit up. You need to sit up."
Wow.
In the middle of his speech, and I was like, I like that.
That's
dope.
savage.
Yeah, because, dude, a rich dad's not going to step up and go, "Hey, man, don't act like that." He's going to go, you can do whatever you want. We have all the money in the world. I don't give a what people think. But he didn't do that. He called him right out. In the middle of his speech, "Hey, sit up, man. Listen, pay attention." And I was like, that's a good dad right there.
Yeah, tough love it sucks in the moment, but like I was raised with tough love, right? I didn't get but I hated it growing up. And now looking back, I'm like, thank you, Mom. Like, you 100%. Saved me for sure.
It's the best thing in the world. One of the principles that I taught the 2 weeks ago, this is a really hard principle for people to like comprehend, but if we as a society would stop seeking for love and likeness and start seeking for trust, everything would change. Everything. Most people in their lives, they want to be liked. I want people to love me. If you sought, instead of for trust, you would build everything you've ever wanted to build. So when I look at a parent, I say, do you want your children to like you, or do you want them to trust you? And when you teach them trust above all else, guess what you're teaching them? Hard, very uncomfortable, very like you just said, like, man, my parents were hard on me. Yeah, because they wanted to teach you to trust them. They didn't care in the moment if you liked them. And in that same event, I told people, I said, if you watch the video of me putting out the fire at my house, there was like 10 people at my house. And everybody was freaking out, everybody, because there was a lot of neighbors up there, and they're all freaking out. What do we do? What do we do? Where do we go? You know, and one of the people was actually recording me up, like, fighting the fire, and she kind of like spans over, and everybody's like, what do we do? They're on the phones with the police. And I see her scroll past my children, my 5 daughters, all of my 5 daughters, smile on their face, laughing, goofing, whatever. They had no worry in the world.
Wow.
Because they knew that they trusted that dad would take care of it, right? And the same day, I had a hard conversation with my daughter. I know in that moment she didn't like me, but she trusted me, and she'll always trust me. And I seek for her trust more than I seek for her to like or love me. And again, that's a really hard principle, but if you break it down simply, how many people do you love? Lots, right? How many people does God love? Everybody.
Everyone, yeah.
But how many do you trust? How many people does God trust? Totally different caliber of a human being. Totally different. And we trust God. We don't always like him, especially when he gives us the hard rules and the hard that we're supposed to be doing. But we trust him, right? And we should become trusted by him. And that's how I build my relationships with my children. I'm like, listen, I know you don't want to hear this. I know the truth is going to be hard. And if I was worried about you liking me, I'm going to make the wrong decision. But if I'm worried more about your trust for me, I'm always going to make the hard decisions, and I'm going to punch you in the face with truth rather than coddle you with a lie.
Right.
And dude, you start doing stuff like that in your relationships with your children, with your marriage, that's when things really start to change. And you become hated by some people, but then you become a source of trust for people. And a lot of people don't have somebody that they trust.
Definitely not.
You know?
Yeah, trust is everything. So how do you deal with lies when it comes with friendships, business, and people you care about?
You know, I would love to say that I'm just so hard that I'm like, oh, that's a lie, get out of my life. I don't. I've tried to find a medium of giving them the opportunity to change whatever it was that the lie essentially came from, right? I'll come and we'll have a very open conversation. I love conflict. I love it.
Really?
Because conflict is what allows you to actually make a change. Like, again, if I have an argument with you and we have a conflict that needs to be dealt with, if we deal with it in conflict, we can actually fix it. If we ignore it, it gets worse. I always tell people, a conflict delayed is a conflict multiplied. So a lot of people live their whole lives, I don't want to be in conflict. I don't want to say that to my mom. I don't want to say that to my children. I don't want to say that to my business partner. I'll just stay away from the conflict. I'm like, no, dude, the conflict, if you deal with it, is where the solution comes from. So I like to have those kinds of conversations. So again, if somebody comes to me and they've lied to me, guess what, man? We're about to have a hard conversation. We're going to have a conflicting conversation, and I'm okay with that because it will solve it. Either we'll no longer do anymore, or you will understand that for us to continue, you will be honest. And I love when you punch me with honesty. That's why I like conflict. Right. But make sure that the conversation is, we're looking for a resolution. We're not just looking to have a conflict, right? So again, for me, somebody lies, I'm like, all right, this is a great moment for us to get better. Either we get better together or we separate and you're no longer a part of my family or my partnership or whatever that is.
Yeah, it's tough because I used to tell lies to make people feel happy or better, not tell them bad news, but I realized it actually does more harm than good.
Yep, always. And dude, it's hard sometimes to be with somebody like that because, you know, my wife comes to me and she says, do I look fat in this? And I'm like, yeah, you kind of look fat in that. You know, you do. I'm not saying my wife's fat, but that's the kind of conversation I'm talking about. It's like, dude, it would be so much better just to be honest than it would be to say, you know what, I'm going to coddle you with a lie. Right. Because there's no solution in coddling you. And it's the same thing. Like, if you want to get better as a human being, you have to look in the mirror and have an honest conversation with yourself. Or you could do what most people do. I'm going to coddle myself with a lie. Why am I fat and out of shape? Oh, it's because you have a bad thyroid, or it's because you have this, or because you have this. Does that feel better? Yeah, I feel better. Okay, well, you're still fat. You need to look at yourself and go, you know what? I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not drinking water. I'm not eating. the right things. I'm not going to the gym. And that's a hard conversation. It's hard to look in the mirror and go, hey, dude, you're your own problem. And you're also, you're the solution here. So let's be honest with each other so that we can get there. And most people, and I know this sucks, but most people would just rather coddle themselves and others with lies so they could just get past that moment. And then no resolution ever comes. That's why people stay in mediocre lives.
Right.
Because they just continue to coddle and pacify themselves with lies. And same thing, why do marriages end up in divorce? Because there was at some point an opportunity for you to be honest and for them to be honest and for you to fight it out and duke it out and find a resolution, or no, I don't want to have this fight. So let's just keep down the way. And then because when a conflict is delayed, it's multiplied, all of a sudden the smallest in a marriage goes, we're over. This is it, dude. Because we delayed this conflict for so long that now there's nothing left.
And that's where great friends come in because they won't lie to you.
Exactly. Which, dude, again, that's the surrounding yourself with good people. Why am I obsessed with people like that will shoot me the truth? Dude, I like when people come to me and they say that hurts my feelings, because then I get to go, are you going to be a about this? Or are you going to take this in, digest it, and go, you know what? They're saying that because they love me, and that's the truth. And it's the only way for me to get better. And no one else in my circle is going to do it because everybody else wants to coddle me and make me feel good. I don't want to feel good. I want to get better. So if I surround myself with people who force me into truth, I get better. Again, why we're even talking about why it's so important to surround yourself with the right people.
Right, and that's the downfall of a lot of people. They get these yes men around them. You see it with celebrities, fighters, entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
It's bad, dude.
I was recently, last week, I was with Jake Paul in Lake Powell. And again, I won't say any names, but I could tell the people that he was around, they were yes men. And, you know, I had some really good conversations with him.
You told him?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I was like, hey, man, I think it's really important that you understand, as young as you are, that some of the people you're surrounding yourself with wouldn't be here if you weren't as successful as you are. And they're not really down for you, man. They're only down for what you have to give them. They're not going to tell you the truth. And, dude, I shot him some hard shit.
And did he take it bad?
Oh, no, dude. He took it great.
Oh, wow.
He texted me later and was like, you know what, dude, I really appreciate spending time with you. Like, that was different. Even Logan. I've had those conversations with Logan Paul, and it's like, man, I really like you. I don't like what you had to say in the moment, but I really appreciate what you had to say. And it's funny, I'm really good friends with their father. He's actually in Limitless.
Greg?
Yep. And it's funny, they both said the same thing to me. They're like, man, you sound like my dad, but the way you're saying it is actually penetrating me. and I don't take it from my dad, but I absolutely take it from you, because it is truth. And I know my dad has good intentions. Their dad's the best. Yeah. Greg's awesome. And he tries to give them the truth, but it's like, oh, it's my dad. I'm not going to listen to him. And I'm like, yeah, but dude, he's right. And you need to surround yourself with the right people. One of the first times I met Logan, Greg pulled me aside and he was like, you know what, dude? I want you guys around. And I said, why is that, Greg? He goes, because my sons are just surrounded with people that want to take, that want to coddle them, that want to feed them full of that are fake, that are scammers. And he's like, you guys are real. And I know you're going to say it how it is. And I love that. And that was the beginning of our relationship. Wow. And so again, he saw it and was like, I don't know how to tell him, but like, that's exactly what they need to hear.
I love it. Keaton, it's been incredible, man. Where can people find Limitless Society and what you're up to?
So two things, the .muscle on Instagram, and then limitlesssociety.com is my actual website for Limitless Society. And then again, like I said, we'll be announcing the Limitless Arena, probably January-ish for an actual date. And, man, anybody that comes, I just hope that whatever I offer to people brings value to their lives, and any way that I can be impactful, I want to. So again, people listening to this podcast, if you're like, dude, I want to change my I want to grow, reach out. I would love to help you. And again, limitlesssociety.com, or message me. I get back to every one of my messages on Instagram, which is crazy. I mean, you get thousands of messages a day.
Takes hours now.
I'm in there, man. I'm in there talking to everybody.
I can vouch. That's how we met.
Yeah, it is how we met.
Baby. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely, brother.
Thanks for watching, guys. As always, see you next time.